Dockcase's peripherals are always interesting in that the company likes to put screens on a lot of them, giving you live information about what's going on inside, whether that comes to docks and hubs or to SSD enclosures with lots of useful smart and health data on display. Now though, the brand has introduced a new version of its super portable pocket SSD enclosure that's aimed more at creators, the Dockcase Pocket Photography Edition. The Dockcase Explorer Edition enclosure is a flashy but manageable device. It stands out with its glass casing and large heatsink, accompanying screen, futuristic detailing and all-over good performance. When you take that overall solid package and shrink it down even further, you end up with this, the Dockcase Pocket, designed for the tiny 2230 sized NVMe SSD drives. Both drives have performed flawlessly throughout the many months I've been using them, although if you want the ability to mount this small pocket drive in order to use it alongside cameras or smartphones, then the Pocket Photography Edition is the one you need. So I've always known Dockcase to make hardware that feels pretty good, and it's no different here. Just like others in the lineup, the Pocket Photography Edition comes in an aluminum chassis with a glass top cover, and while it's tiny and light, it has some reassuring heft and sturdiness to it. This feels like something you can take anywhere, and the same goes for the accompanying sleeved cable, which is the same as the one supplied with other Dockcase enclosures, and equally feels like it wouldn't be easy to break, as well as being rated for up to 60 watts power transfer. The super robust aluminum enclosure itself, though, sports a heatsink on one side, helping to keep the SSD drive inside running cool, while on the opposite side we have the main display screen protected by a layer of tough tempered glass. A patterned version is available should that be to your liking, although as we can see I obviously opted for the plain version. Compared to the standard Dockcase Pocket, this model is a tad larger, and that's because it's meant for photographers, whether that's using a professional camera or a smartphone, since on opposite sides of the drive are two 1/4" 20 threads, meaning it's now easy to mount your camera gear and provide a direct feed for capturing and storing your content. Otherwise, on one side we find a single USB-C port used for data transfer at USB 3.2 Gen 2 10 gigabits per second speeds, while on the other is a single button used to cycle between the different smart menu pages once powered. In essence then, it's the exact same drive as the existing Dockcase Pocket, albeit with some 1/4" 20 threads for mounting on either side. It's just as stylish and robust too. So, just like their other enclosures, the Dockcase Pocket Photography Edition doesn't come pre-installed with an NVMe SSD, so you'll need to provide your own. A super small 2230 format SSD that is. It's not a tool-free installation either, although thankfully it is relatively straightforward, involving the removal of a single screw on the heatsink side of the device, which releases the heatsink from the enclosure completely. On the inside we find the PCB and other electronics alongside that small blue capacitor we've seen in the standard Dockcase Pocket, providing 3 seconds worth of power in the event of a power loss in order for the drive to dump its cache onto the SSD before switching off. A nifty little feature, especially on a drive that could be jostled and moved around with your camera setup. Nevertheless, the drive slots inside relatively easily before being secured into position with another screw, after which we are ready to cover with the heatsink and reinstalling the single screw that holds everything together. With that, drive installation is complete. Thanks to the 1/4" 20 threads, mounting to items is easy with the appropriate adapter or mounting hardware, such as this cold shoe adapter I'm using here, which slides into a smartphone mount, providing the ability to capture video straight to the drive for instance. Alternatively, mount to your camera or anything else where an external USB-C drive is compatible. Nice and easy. Otherwise, at this point, just like other enclosures, it's as simple as connecting to your host device via the USB-C cable that's included in the package, where the drive is instantly accessible. This also brings the 1.3-inch screen to life, with a display that's pretty much identical in size to the one from the Explorer and Pocket editions, although not nearly as bright. Probably so as to not cause too much of a distraction on top of your camera while shooting. What I find very useful here is the ability to double tap the side button in order to flip which way you want the data displayed, making sure it's facing the right way irrespective of drive orientation. Even though the Dockcase Pocket has this feature already, it's even more useful here considering the drive can be installed either way depending upon how your cabling sits. Otherwise, it's precisely the same as other drives in the Dockcase range. So, in standby, the home screen displays whether that power loss protection capacitor is charged, details on the SSD model currently installed, the remaining life of the SSD, and the amount of data that has been read or written to the drive since it was powered on. Importantly, it also indicates the drive's temperature in the top corner, which is very handy when using your setup in hotter climates or for longer periods of time. Beyond these are several screens accessible by holding the small button on the side. The first provides more detailed smart data from the SSD, while the second lets you adjust the settings of the Dockcase enclosure itself, and the next offers graphs of the drive's temperature and input voltage, while the final screen allows you to upgrade the enclosure's firmware and other such debugging tasks. So when it comes to using the drive, we get around the same performance as its siblings too, if not just a touch slower with the right speed when compared to the Dockcase Pocket. Remember, this is connecting via USB 3.2 Gen 2, so the speeds would never exceed 10 gigabits per second, which in theory would be 1250 megabytes per second, so in that regard it performs reasonably well. Now there are other enclosures that cost half as much and perform just as good, but they don't carry all the health and status information or that power backup, or haven't the versatility that comes with the mounting points either. So it really comes down to what's more important for you, raw speed or drive health and safety. During a break in the connection, for instance, you can rest assured the drive's cache will be safely written to the drive before shutdown, making sure your SSD is safe at all times. In essence, the Pocket Photography Edition is another nice SSD enclosure to add to Dockcase's lineup. You're getting a rugged chassis with the added benefit of a screen that shows you additional details about the drive inside. Its tiny size makes it perfect for taking with you on the go, and it still offers plenty of performance to handle photo and video recording with no issue. Saying that, if you only want it as an SSD for a computer, the original Dockcase Pocket is probably better since it's cheaper, performs a touch better, and it's smaller without the mounting threads. But if you do want to use it as storage for photos and videos straight from your camera, tablet or USB-C equipped smartphone, it's an ideal solution that comes well recommended.